request Mr. B. Narayan to say the inaugural address, and after that address we are going to inaugurate the exhibition. Mr. B. Narayan, please welcome him.
Friends, do I see any ladies? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the dignitaries in the dais. I'm very happy to be amongst you here this morning on the occasion of inauguration of this Expo 2017. It's so apt and relevant that we have this Expo here, and I'm told that this is an annual event and every year it's growing. And I was just on the sideline when I was checking as to how many exhibitors are here. I was told about 500 of them. It's a pretty large number, and it only demonstrates the importance and relevance the automation industry has assumed. And I was just going back into the history. We're talking about the Industrial Revolution, which started off with mechanization on when the steam engine was introduced, and human and animal labor was replaced by machines. And the second revolution, the second wave of revolution was seen when electricity was introduced in the industry and mass production concept was brought in. And then we had the third wave of revolutions when we have the transistors and diodes and computers, and automation was introduced in the process industries and allied industries. And when we are now talking about industrial revolution, wave number 4 is also called Industry 4.0, and subset of that we have manufacturing 4.0, logistics 4.0, etc. After all, what is Industry 4.0? We are talking about today the Internet of Things, the artificial intelligence, cognitive intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, additive manufacturing, and all of that. And where does automation industry or control system industry come into play? Yes. When we talk about this Internet of Things, it consists of 4 elements. As I understand, you need to have an extremely developed sensor technology, and then you have the accumulation of data and handling the data, the big data. So today we are seeing the cloud technology to handle that data, and then we have the data science, data analytics, to analyze the data and arrive at some conclusion, and potential actions that need to be taken based on the analysis. And that is where the Internet of Things stand. And then added to that is the mobility capability, because when the results of the data analytics are available, and then you can actually have that action information available on literally mobile phone. So a person who is supposed to take action can be on the move. He can be in the theater, he can be in a shopping center, and if there is some action to be taken, so he has got it. He doesn't have to be at the place where the action has to be taken physically. So this is something which probably our next generation is going to get used to, and they probably would not even fathom as to what happened before the Internet of Things ever started. So we will get used to this Industry 4.0 and all related benefits that we see coming. And I was just reading the other day that Google have come up with an AlphaGo, which beat the best Go player. And 20 years back, the Deep Blue computer beat Gary Kasparov, the best chess player then. And if you compare to that chess and 64 square board, and you have the possible games is 10 followed by 120 zeros. And I'm told, the Go, the Alpha Go has a capability of 10 followed by some 761 zeros or something. So if you really extrapolate that, understand that if you take that number and probably a number of atoms in the universe, maybe even not that much. There's somebody, I don't know, we'll have to really check whether that number is real, correct. But what it demonstrates is the capability of today's technology. It actually goes beyond even computing, and it then gets into a different level of technology, and probably it involves in deep learning, cognitive learning, and self-learning, fast learning, and probably mimicking the brain, the human brain. And you know, just similarly, if I have to give, when a baby is born, it starts actually observing. You have got the sensories, and so you have the ear, eyes, feeling, etc. It recognizes the parent. The baby listens to the parent, sees the parent, and slowly forms the patterns, and then self-learns, and gets into the deep learning mode, and that's how ultimately the baby, as it grows, learns and learns and learns. And exactly the same way, probably we would be developing computer capability to do the self-learning, and that is something which I think is going to be a disruptive technology in the future. And we all would be very keen to see, probably some of us, at least my generation, may not be able to see the full benefits of that technology in a full-fledged scale. But as you all know, as you all observe, today's generation is already geared up to adapt that technology. You know, as little 1.5-year-old babies gets into the phone and starts tapping these buttons, and then it reads and it looks at this, and it plays the cartoons and all that. So it's something which is coming, and with the new investment that are taking place in the world, and more particularly in India, there are a lot of scope for us to introduce these new technologies in new investment that are taking place. And fortunately for India, it's a growing economy, and unlike in some of the developed countries where you have still, you know, they have the legacy of old technologies, and they have to live with that, or they have to spend a lot of money to upgrade. But when we are coming up with new technology, new investments, and so you can actually this is an opportunity for us to introduce these new technologies straight away in the first place. And that is an advantage that we would have. And fortunately for us, India today is one of the largest growing countries in the world, with upside of 7% growth rate. And fortunately for us, also the government of the day is very progressive, and they're coming up with new policy changes. As you see, that pharmaceutical industry, that they're allowing 100% investment in the industry, and also in the fertilizer industry, they have made policy changes because they have seen that there was not much of an investment taking place in the fertilizer industry, and they saw the lacuna in the policy, and they made that changes. That would definitely inspire people to invest. And as you all know, the oil and gas industry is a booming industry. There is fortunately big public sector companies and a few private sector companies such as ours is very active. And I just cite an example, Reliance. We are currently investing over 13-14 billion, almost over $15 billion in Jamnagar as part of phase 3 projects. And as we have seen, when one mega project of that kind is launched, and then it takes about 3 to 4 years as a gestation period, And during that period, the industry can survive and they can actually come up with, then they have incentive to invest in R&D and developmental work, and that is what we have actually seen over the last 4 or 5 years during the course of execution of J3 projects. And when as compared to what we had installed as technology products in our 2 refineries that were built since 1998. So we've seen considerable changes that have taken place that have been implemented in field bus is one of them, and also like wireless technology, and so we have applied that as well in our plans. So what I'm trying to say is, for us, the industry has something to look for in the future in the country, and as I was saying, you have the fertilizer industry growing, the pharmaceutical industry growing, and oil and gas definitely, and then even power sector, because provided they make some changes in the policy, I'm sure that's also going to grow, and the power is an important element and it's a barometer to show the health of the industry in the country. So the government has recognized that, and I'm sure they're working on making some policy changes, and there would be some investments. So if I were to consider even a small percentage of 5% of the project cost involving the instrumentation, controls, and automation, then I'm sure it's a big opportunity that's going to be coming in front of you. And then you also have the smart homes, smart cities, digitized transportation system, and digitized highway control system, safety. Security is an important element, and we are seeing that we ourselves are building a real estate facility in Bandra Kurla complex in Bombay, one of the largest convention centers with theater complex and retail outlet and office blocks and residential blocks, etc. And so it's a big complex. We have seen that since there's going to be a huge amount of public movement, we are looking at the most modern system to ensure the security of the people moving around. So it's again, there is imagery technology, there is access control, biometric control, and at the same time it should not be intrusive. And so, because of these projects that we are investing on, and so it is important, and it's imperative for us to look for the new technologies that are emerging, and how we can implement them, how we can include them in the installations that we are building today. So these are extremely relevant, I'm sure, with the expo of this kind, which is an opportunity for the people. Even the common man would come and visit these stalls, and I'm sure all these exhibitors must be having the wares and display, and they can explain to the people as to how it is important, how it is relevant for the people, because not only who are engaged in the industry, but also as a general public, because the automation and instrumentation and the control is not only used in the process control or industry, but also generally in one's everyday life. And we talk so much about smart homes, and everyone is gung-ho on that. And Reliance, apart from our industrial investments, we're also currently investing on the communication side of it through Reliance Jio. Our intent is to, in fact, bring in data, bring in content, quality, speed, and make it available for person on the move. You need not be in some place and just looking for, unfortunately, but no, it's available in the move, every kind of thing. So it's it's a good future that we have in India, and in that context, I would say good opportunity for process automation and controls and all such allied industry sector. So with that said, I wish the Expo 17 exhibitors and participants a very happy 4 days proceedings. And I've also seen that these 4 days Expo, along with Expo, you also have symposia, and I'm sure the people who are participating will benefit immensely from the proceedings of the symposia as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Narayana, Chief Guest, Group President, Reliance Industries. Sir, may I request you to unveil